Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lift Theater's Mystery Theater of the Air. We're pleased to have you in our studio audience. Before I go any further, may I ask that you silence your cell phones. In today's radio drama, I am playing the role of Malcolm Hightower, the announcer. In my other life, I am Alfred McDowell of Little Falls. Playing the role of the man with the horn, and playing the horn is Oscar Stavala of Little Falls. The play takes place in two locations and two time periods, first in post-war Beacon City, and then in 21st century Little Falls. I'd like to introduce the players to facilitate your enjoyment. Beacon City, post-war, the Brass Lantern, a force for good in a morass of evil, played by Christian Avis of Little Falls. And Teddy, an orphan boy, played by Laura Powers of Little Falls. Little Falls, winter of 2019. Mac Blac, professional problem solver, played by Bob Gassman of Mohawk. Cressida, Mac Blac's long-legged assistant, played by Katie Drake of Little Falls. Harry Da Vinci, Little Falls businessman, played by Tom Stock of Indian Castle. Bobby the Punk, a Little Falls 20-something who likes beer and computers, played by Tucker Lester of Ilion. Martini Man, a man of mystery, played by Dick Friedrich of Little Falls. Come with me now to a deserted alleyway in Beacon City, post-war, mid-century. A young boy, Teddy, sits on a wooden box. A spotlight is on him. Beside him stands a man in a long dark coat and a black fedora, the Brass Lantern. We do not see his face. He is always in shadow. Only his arm and hands ever cross over into the light. He has been shot. He needs medical attention, but not before he performs one final act in this particular battle.
Lantern, is that you? I saw that county bastard sprayed with lead before he got his. Guess those Reds didn't know that the Brass Lantern don't die.
You were brave, Teddy. I never would have rooted out that fifth column nest if you hadn't told me about your parents' Tupperware parties.
They wasn't no parents to me. The orphanage paid them to take us.
That bad, huh?
They only ever played Burl Ives records. You tell me.
I'm afraid none of them made it.
You worried I'm gonna cry? I ain't gonna cry. It's not like any real people died, just convicts.
You sound like a lot of grown men I fought with during the war.
I'm plenty grown.
They talked like that when the other men were around, but in the silence, in the dark, you could hear them sobbing in their bunks.
Don't worry, Lantern. I'm not crying for those bums.
Still, that was only one cell. More of them are still out there, and they know you tipped me off.
I can take care of myself.
Teddy, the Brass Lantern may be immortal, but you aren't. Here, take this bag. This was your foster mother's Tupperware money. There's enough here for you to get a fresh start somewhere else.
Where am I gonna go? Beacon City's all I got. I ain't running away.
I wouldn't ask you to run away. I'm asking you to be my eyes and ears in a new fifth column hotbed. A little community in central New York. A friend of mine, Matthew Arnold.
That rich guy who owns the light company?
Yes, he owns property there. Has some friends. A place called Little Falls. You'd have your own room in a house with some good people. They've got a son who'll be like a real brother to you. You'll find some friends. Other Battery Boy agents.
I don't know. I kind of know my way around here.
Take this money. There's an address in the bag. You can go to school.
Me in school? I don't know.
There's good jobs there if you get a few more years of school. Good jobs in the mill, at Salata, or the bicycle factory.
Sounds like running away to me.
No. Teddy, you need to keep watch. And take this.
What is it?
With this lantern, my other agents will know you. And should you ever need assistance, should you ever uncover another evil communist plot, just press the button and I will come.
Little Falls, eh?
Little Falls, New York. The train station is just a few blocks away from the address I gave you. They're expecting you.
Well, if you say so, and you need me, right?
The whole country does.
Well, you can count on me, Lantern. If there's a fifth column in this Little Falls place, I'll find it. I'll find it, or I'll die trying.
Ladies and gentlemen, jump forward with me to the 21st century in central New York. It's been a few months since we've looked in on Mr. Mac Blac, Little Falls' only professional problem solver. Here he is now in his fourth floor apartment in the Snyder Apartments, watching the quiet street below in the city that goes to bed too early. The decor is simple, but Mr. Blac is a simple, no-nonsense man. We see a desk, several chairs, a back office, and oddly a coat rack which sports a foam cheese head. Mr. Blac is standing at the window looking out over Main Street. The holiday lights are up on the canopy and in store windows, and a drive through town shows the buildup of early snow. This is a quiet evening in Little Falls where Mac Blac, the only professional problem solver in the Little Falls phone book, finishes another day of ironing the kinks out of everyday life in the only city in Herkimer County.
Hard to believe that it's already 2 weeks after Christmas. Kids are back to school, and on trash day, the amount of holiday debris has diminished. But you can still get eggnog in the dairy department, and Christmas lights will be up for another month or so. It's just too cold to climb around on ladders to take them down. All the Christmas candy is in the 50% off bin, and the Valentine's candy is on display in the drugstore. Cressida is tending bar at the Happen Inn for a few weeks. The restaurant where she works evenings is closed for renovations, so she's got free time. She's filling in for her friend Julie, who's in Florida, where her mother's having a hip replacement. I skipped dinner tonight. One too many Christmas parties in the last month. I need to lose a few pounds before I'm tempted by that chocolate cake at the Elks again. Got to get back to the why. All the New Year's resolutions.
Who's calling at 9:30 p.m.? Hello? Let me put you on speaker, Harry. No, nobody else is here.
You wouldn't believe it, Mac.
Oh, I don't know, Harry. Maybe I would.
Mac, this is serious.
Right. I'm relieved to hear that. It's 9:30 at night. I've just poured 2 fingers of whiskey in my Erie Canal commemorative glass. I know you wouldn't call me at the office unless it were really important.
It's this guy, Mac.
This guy.
This guy who contacted me.
This guy who called you?
He didn't exactly call.
He didn't exactly call? Did a buzzard fly in your window with a note in his beak?
This is good whiskey. I wonder if Harry's been sipping a bit himself.
I'm serious, Mac. This could mean I can sell Ted's house and everything in it. It's just, it doesn't make sense.
Back up. He didn't exactly call you? That's too subtle for me at this time of night, especially when I've cut back on chocolate cake.
Just listen, Mac. Like last summer, I was going through Ted's boxes. You know, crockery, old tools, equipment from a shoemaker's shop.
What?
He had everything. It was the box marked brass. Oh, forget it. I don't have time. I gotta go check on Ted's place. I'll come by in the morning.
And good night to you too, Harry. This is good whiskey. Local Christmas whiskey from contented clients. Cooperstown, Utica, Lake Placid. Maybe I should invest in a distillery and give up problem solving. I wonder what's going on with Harry. I know he's been worried about Ted's place. Nice little house. Who knew he'd make Harry the executor? Maybe Cressida will know something. She seems to know everything before anybody else does. Since the first day she walked through these doors in those red stilettos. She's been working here for 15 years. She gets smarter and savvier, and she still has the best legs this side of Schenectady.
Good morning, boss. Boss, you back there?
It's early. I guess the bar wasn't open late last night.
Not exactly. I just know Harry will come by and I want to talk to you first.
Is something wrong with Harry? He did call me here at 9:30 last night. I'm not sure why. He was evasive. Not normal for Harry. He always functions on high, but he always says what he thinks.
I don't know about that, but he was talking to Martini Man, and he tipped me extra last night.
Martini Man? Harry tipped extra?
You remember Martini Man, don't you? From last summer, the week after Canal Celebration.
Last August?
Yes, boss, that's when we usually have Canal Day celebration.
I was busy with that TV crew from The Road to Antiques. They were here doing an episode. You remember. I was helping with some of their research.
Oh yes, your old friend Santa Fe recommended you.
It was an interesting job. But what's that got to do with, what did you call him? Martini Man?
Martini Man? Did he come back here after I left the bar?
It looks like it may turn out to be one of those days. Harry's already over the top, and Cressida's giving me the cool act because Santa Fe's name came up. And all this before my second coffee.
Just like last summer, he's there and then he's gone. Last summer and now.
Like I said, I was busy with those TV antique guys. Excuse me, production team.
Yes, I remember.
Why anybody would care that much about old brass stuff, I'll never understand. And I'm a professional problem solver.
I'm sure that I told you about him. He was one of those customers who leaves an impression.
Sorry, I'm a blank. Fill me in.
The first time was last summer, the week after Canal Day celebration. It's always slow. Then there he was at the end of the bar. Cody was behind the bar and Martini Man says, "You've got Plymouth gin?" Then he's gone.
But did he come back last night?
Of course, that's what I'm saying.
You could have fooled me.
I was pouring a Sam Adams and there he was. I didn't recognize him at first.
What did he say? Did he ask about Ted's house?
Not exactly. He asked if we had Plymouth gin.
Man of few words.
When he said Plymouth, I knew who he was.
Well, what did you say?
I said yes.
And?
And he said good. And then he was gone.
Nothing about Ted's house.
Look, Harry, I know you're worried about clearing out the house and getting it in shape to sell, but there's really no rush. Nobody's buying in the middle of winter. You've got time.
But he looked at the Overlook, and the Masonic, and the Binks Basin house.
Last night?
Will you listen? Last summer he looked at all those three, and the Gilbert Mansion. We drove around town, he asked me the ages of the houses, he wanted to know which houses had big attics, He especially liked the Queen Anne's. The bigger the better.
Ted's house isn't quite on that scale.
Mac, would you let me finish?
Finish what?
Some days I wonder how Harry gets his shoes on in the morning.
Yes? Now?
Now what?
He's on his way to the house.
I guess he had to leave.
Do you have any idea?
Mac Blac's office. Oh, hi, Bobby. Ted's house. You're there. You got a text? I don't know. Martini Man? Okay.
What's up with Bobby?
Get over to Ted's house. Check that the snow's been shoveled off the roof and hang around. Don't leave Harry. And don't let on that I sent you over.
You got all that from that call?
Yes.
Well, sure. So what's with this Martini Man?
Nobody really knows. Last summer he just showed up wearing a shirt that must have cost $400.
Well, we don't see those just every day in Little Falls.
People thought he was at the marina, but he wasn't. And he wasn't at the inn or the B&B. And he didn't look like a Travelodge kind of guy.
Well, how did I miss out on all this excitement?
Like you said, you were busy with those antique TV friends of Ms. Santa Fe Bennett.
I'd better go to Ted's house. I've got to get ready for a new client in the afternoon, but Harry calls and I jump.
And I'm starting to get a bit curious about the gin connoisseur.
You better go, boss. I think there's something about Martini Man that doesn't ring true.
At least she's still calling me boss.
When do you think you'll be back?
Your guess is as good as mine. I'll call if I have to change my afternoon appointment.
Okay, boss.
What is happening in Little Falls? It should be an ordinary winter day, snow in the air and not much else, but there's a stranger in town. Who is Martini Man? He's been here before. Why did he come back? What's the big deal about Ted's house? And why Plymouth gin?
Mac Black's office. Okay, boss, I'll go check on that. Got it. I'll pick up the spare keys at Harry's office. Yes, I know where he keeps them. I'll meet you back here. Boss, are you okay? You're not seeing those lights again.
Cressida's not back yet. I hope there wasn't a problem. But she's right about Martini Man. Why am I calling him Martini Man? But I haven't heard his name.
I'm back here, boss. I didn't hear you come in.
Cressida seems to be over that chill from the mention of Santa Fe.
Yes, I'm back. You dropped off those extra keys for Harry?
Sure, but I've never known Harry to lose keys before. Wasn't like him. His mind jumps around, but he runs his business. Oh, I don't know, like a business. How did it go at Ted's place?
As requested, I went to Ted's house. Check. I looked at the roof to see if there was any snow piling up. Check. I acted like it was a coincidence that Bobby and I were there at the same time. Check. And then I walked through the house with Harry and Bobby and Martini Man. There are so many of Ted's collections that we had to walk single file. And I still don't know what this whole thing is about.
Harry's worried. I think he wanted a witness.
Witnesses to a walkthrough? I admit, I just don't have a clue what's up.
Even last summer, the first time we saw him, popped in and out of the bar for a week. Never ordered food. Though I think he ate all the sunflower seeds in the bar mix.
He ate the sunflower seeds.
Cody told me about the martini order after closing up the first night. Unchilled glass, room temperature, Plymouth gin, no vermouth, no olives, no lemon peels, no pickled onions, no dirty, and no fingerprints on the glass.
Maybe I could get to like this guy.
Boss!
Well, there's an admirable clarity about someone who knows exactly how to order a satisfactory drink.
Boss!
Plymouth gin, you say?
Yes, and every night he was in last summer, he sat in the same spot at the bar. And that spot was always empty. If he was the first one in, he sat there. And if there was only one seat left, it was his regular seat that stood empty. One night he walked in and the place was packed. He looked around, and Mark, who was sitting at the stranger's place, got a text, put a 20 on the bar, and left. We joked that Martini Man had a force field in effect when he came in.
Now you're getting a bit strange. I'm a facts and evidence kind of guy. Force fields and magic seats?
Well, when you say it like that, it does sound a little new agey. But every night he ordered the same drink in the same detail.
What's wrong with that?
Cody was miffed. He prides himself on knowing his customers' taste, and he thought Martini Man didn't trust him. Mac Blac's office. Yes, Bobby, he's here. Okay, we'll see you in a little bit.
So, back to Martini Man. There's just something about him. What is he doing in Little Falls? His clothes are definitely big city.
And his manicure.
Harry said he looked at all the big residences in the city. And now he went to see Ted's house?
Odd.
It was almost like he was more interested in Ted's collections than the house. He took notes about the boxes in a little leather book he carried in his pocket. Asked to see the lantern collection.
The lantern collection?
Very interesting.
And I'm really good at estimating people's ages, but I just don't know with him.
That's one weird dude.
You think?
Was that an ostrich skin jacket? I think I heard about those somewhere.
Don't get me started.
When he was here in the summer, I drove him around for Mr. Da Vinci. Had to wear a collared shirt and watch my language.
I didn't know Harry had enough power to get you out of your hoodie.
We looked at a few places in Herkimer, a couple of old places on North Main that had been turned into apartments.
I used to go to a doctor who had offices in one of those.
Yeah, they're pretty much empty now. We didn't go in any, just looked. Martini Man made notes in that little leather book.
Did he write with a golden pen?
Actually, it was a Mont Blanc.
What?
Yeah. Anyway, he wanted to stop for a drink. He sent me into 3 bars to see if they had Plymouth gin. No go. So we come back to Little Falls.
Well, apparently his taste in gin is not site-specific.
But he kept asking about brass items in the buildings. Doorknobs, door plates, light fixtures, whatever. Do I sound like HGTV?
I'm surprised you even know what HGTV is.
I watch it with Wilma. Since I moved into her upstairs apartment, she invites me downstairs to dinner once every week or two, when I don't have classes, and then we watch her shows.
Wilma's an HGTV fan? Who knew?
I'm not sure why you cared. I kind of understood woodwork and stained glass.
You really have been watching HGTV.
All he could talk about was brass light fixtures, or lamps, or something like that.
He didn't explain his interest?
Not a clue. Then he asked me about communists at the old bicycle factory.
Communists? Where did that come from?
I don't know. But I told him that my mother's whole family for 100 years lived in Little Falls, and they are definitely not communists. I think.
Well, that must have shut him up.
Actually, he apologized. Said he had heard stories about communists after the war, and something about a raid in Little Falls.
The war?
The war?
War!
No, just something that Martini Man said last summer.
Do you know where he is?
Why would I know where he is?
Because he left Ted's house with you.
Hey, Mr. Da Vinci, I'm just helping out. When I left, Martini Man was still on the porch. You were locking up.
He didn't get in your car.
Oh,
You're sure?
I'm sure. I think I'd know if that guy got in my car.
Well, where'd he go?
Where did he go? And do we really care? It's lunchtime. I missed breakfast. My afternoon appointment just shifted to next week. And somebody's worried about communists at the bicycle plant? It sounds like an old radio show. Let's go have lunch.
Were there communists at the bicycle factory? What is so interesting about Ted's house? Is Martini Man an undercover Zillow agent? Is he a collector of antique brass? Does he want to move to Little Falls? Where does he buy his shirts? And why is Bobby watching HGTV?
shop.
Did Channel 2 predict this storm? Sun was shining this morning. We go to lunch. Juanita's got the best split pea soup, and we're in a blizzard.
I always check the weather. They said flurries, but nothing like this.
Did you lock the door when you left Cressida?
Of course, I always lock the door. Wasn't it locked when we got back?
It was.
So what's the problem?
This thing on my desk. It's kind of a fob, I think. A gewgaw or something. Where did it come from?
Your desk can be quite a mess.
I wouldn't go that far.
Look at this thing.
I'm sure I have not seen that before.
Harry, Bobby, does this look familiar to you?
Is it brass?
Brass, brass. Is it brass?
Well, you're the decor guy now, Bobby.
It looks like a miniature.
A miniature? Are you sure it's just HGTV you've been watching?
It's just something I was reading about.
You're reading about brass miniatures?
Since last summer, when I was helping Mr. Da Vinci.
With Martini Man.
Yes.
Any idea what this thing is or how it showed up on my desk?
Well, excuse me, Mr. Black. Aren't you the problem solver? I just help out while I try to get my Computers for Seniors business going.
Wilma says you're making a big hit with your mini classes at the senior center.
We kinda got the idea together.
And what does this have to do with Martini Man and Ted's house? And where the hell are my extra keys vanished to?
You're being remarkably focused this afternoon, Harry.
Well, yes, we're in a blizzard. I thought I had a sale on my hands and the buyer just disappears. Are you sure you didn't give him a ride, Bobby?
Of course he didn't. Why would he lie to us about something so obvious?
This whole thing is out of hand. I just wanted to help Ted. I got to know him through VFW. There were just a few of the old guys left.
They were all old gentlemen by the time I got to know them, but I always thought of them as the Bowery Boys.
The Bowery Boys. That fits them. They did have a name for themselves.
I think they'd all been friends since grade school.
The Bowery Boys. I don't know. That's not quite right. Bowery Boys, Bad Boys, Bat Boys, Baseball Boys, Battery Boys? I just don't remember. They were a crew for sure.
You said you were surprised that Ted named you executor.
Right. He never said anything about it. We used to have breakfast once a week. You came along a few times, Mac. And so did you, Bobby. Sometimes a beer in the summer.
You like the stories from the old days, before urban renewal. You really knew what buildings used to be where.
His house was a little bit of everything that had ever been in Little Falls. Railings from the Sheared house. Some nails from the Snyder Bicycle Factory. He had a couple of quilts like the ones that they've got at Nellis Tavern.
Only he had about 1,000 things like that. He showed me a lot of his treasures, and he explained his cataloging system. That's what he called it. Said he dated a librarian once.
You sure you're okay, boss?
It's just that light thing, like last summer.
I told you to go to the doctor then.
It cleared up a week or two after Canal Celebration. It was just stress.
And what is it now?
Look at that snow. I just got a weather alert on my phone. Surprise, Winter Storm Baxter, which was supposed to fade in the Ohio Valley, has turned north.
I'd better get back over to Ted's house. Make sure it's sealed up tight. Can you help me out, Bobby?
Sure, one minute you think I'm lying about sneaking away with a mystery man in my car, and now I'm supposed to drop everything and go back to Ted's.
Come on, Bobby. No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Wait a sec. That's what I've been trying to remember.
What?
Ted worked at the bicycle factory. He started to tell me about the commies one night. But we got interrupted and I never heard the rest of the story.
What?
Let's go, Mr. Da Vinci. Snow's falling real fast.
Don't forget your hat, Harry.